You're listening to Radio Mayapur with the best devotional, meditation, kirtan music, and inspirational podcast. This is Radio Mayapur.
Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to Mayapur. Radio Mayapur, a link to your heart. I am Ganga, your host, and today we're very fortunate. It's a beautiful day, sunshine. It's not too hot. It's 25, 26. It's not so humid. The sky is clear. The best time of our life is coming because it's November, December, January, February. Then we start sweating again.
Don't we always sweat in Mayapur?
Then always we sweat. We don't need a sweating box. Today we are very, very fortunate to have with us Jivanath Das Prabhu. He's from Philadelphia, USA, born in 1952, Srila Prabhupada disciple. And he was a Catholic, studied in university, blah, blah, blah. We're going to interview him and ask him a few questions. He's very enthusiastic. You see him always in Mayapur TV. He's shouting a lot and singing and kirtan in the afternoon. And he's very tall. So you can see everybody above his head.
It's a nice way of saying I got a big mouth, right?
A big mouth for Krishna is good because Krishna can notice you say, who is this guy? I love him. So, Jivanath Prabhu, tell us a little bit about your background and, of course, how you grew up, your family, they are Catholic. And are you the only son, the spoiled son, or your brother, sister? What's the story?
Yeah, you can start with that. I am an only child, very spoiled. Thank you for that. You just led right into who I am. And I grew up in an Irish Catholic family.
Wow.
And growing up and going to Catholic schools, you get a little bit of religion. And I remember I was in the 7th grade and I actually asked, I was taught by Sisters of Mercy nuns. And I asked them, who is God?
Wow.
And she said, it's a mystery, young man. And I said, no. You got to do better than that. Who is God? I mean, if we're going to be worshiping and glorifying, I want to know who he is. And again, she said, it's a mystery. And when I asked the 3rd time, I was asked to leave the classroom.
Oh, gosh.
So I thought, okay, so much for this Catholic religion. They don't really have the answers. I get the whole idea of worshiping God, but I mean, I would like a few answers. So I didn't get any answers for the very longest time. But I never actually gave up this belief that, yes, there is a God, but I need to find out who he is.
So in other words, you were the seeker of the truth. And
not really. I just was like, come on, you got to at least have the answer. Who is God?
That's true.
Little kids.
Jesus says, I am the Son of God.
So
I had
who
the
is
same
he?
thing. I asked the father when he came to school, who is God? Who is the Father? And they also say, oh, you have to have faith. I said, I have faith, but... Anyway, no answer. They didn't throw me out. They tolerated me.
Yeah.
So, but then you went on with your education and you went to university, I believe, and you were about to become basketball.
That was my goal. I had 2 actual goals in high school. One was to be a rock star, and the other one was to be a professional basketball player. But unfortunately, I wasn't very good at either.
Krishna had some other plan for you, I guess.
Obviously, yeah. So now I get to sort of do those kind of things now, even though I'm not shooting basketball, I still jump around a little bit.
Fantastic. But tell us how you meet the devotees, because I'm sure that you must have met somebody who gives some book, or somebody inspire you, give some prasadam. Yeah. How you got connected with this movement, these Hare Krishna people, funny people with the funny hair?
Yeah,
bad shit.
What are you reading my mind or something? Because that's actually just what I was thinking. My whole thing, I was like, these guys are so weird. You'd see them on the street. It's like, what planet are they from? Shaved heads. And who wears sheets? People don't wear sheets. And I was like, I'm not anything to do with that because I was such a cool guy, or I thought I was, a really cool guy. And I want nothing to do with these Hare Krishnas. But one time, this is right after I dropped out of university, driving down the road, I see my old best friend from high school, right?
Wow.
He went to university in Florida and I was still in Pennsylvania. And I see him at a traffic light. So he says, hey, Joe, hey, man, remember? Yeah, it's so cool. Pull over, man, we'll talk. So I pull over and we start talking. And he's dressed like, like me. He's wearing normal clothes. He has a baseball hat on. He has a bag. He has some candy in the bag. So this is kind of nice. He offers me a piece of candy, and I'm eating the candy, and he pulls out this magazine, and we're just doing the usual, how's it going, man? Yeah, long time no see. Yeah, good, man. Good to see you. Yeah. Doing all that stuff you do. And then he says, are you happy?
Wow.
And just like that we just had then, that dead silence, that's what happened. There was dead silence. I'm like, whoa, what a question to ask me. Am I happy? I'm a cool guy. You remember me, the life of the party, Mr. Fun Guy. You're asking me if I'm happy? And I actually stopped for a second. I thought, you know what? I'm not. I'm not happy. So I admitted it to him. He's my best friend. I said, no, I'm not happy. And then he pulls out this magazine, hands me this magazine. It's this really far out looking guy with 4 arms on the cover. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck is this? And I'm looking at just the cover, and at the bottom, it says the magazine of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And I go, oh my God, you're a Hare Krishna. And he takes off his hat. Sure enough, he's got a shaved head. And I was like, oh my God, buddy, what happened to you, man? You're a Hare Krishna? But then he's telling me all this, you're not your body. That's why you're so unhappy. You're trying to enjoy. And I was like, all this stuff made total sense. So Krishna actually set me up, because if it had been anybody else, I wouldn't have stopped. There's just no way. I'm not talking to a freaky Hare Krishna. But this is my best friend. I know he's not crazy.
What's his name?
His name is devotee name?
Yeah.
Lakshminath Das.
Lakshminath Das. We're going to find him and interview him as well.
I've looked high and low for him. I can't find him.
He's somewhere.
Everybody's like, where's La? I don't know. Nobody knows. But he brought me to the movement. So,
That's beautiful.
Forever indebted. Forever indebted.
Yes.
And it's so funny. Let me just skip ahead a little bit, because when I moved in the temple, there's that whole story. But I got in the temple. We had a traveling Sankirtan party. Raghunath, Radhanath, Lakshminath, and Jivanath.
All the not together.
All Naths in one car on Harinam and book distribution. Like that. How does that happen? Anyway.
So, but then from that day on, the trajectory of your life changed. You start to read the magazine. Was it Back to Godhead?
Back to Godhead. He gave me a Bhagavad Gita and a Krishna book. And I read the Bhagavad Gita in 3 days. Just got right into it. It was awesome. And then
the answers are there.
Yeah, everything. So I was convinced, but I still wanted to see them in action. So rather than go to the Sunday feast and get sort of like the usual, stuff that you hear, I wanted to see the real Hare Krishnas
Inside.
So I went to the temple for Mangal Artik.
Wow.
And Mangal Artik for a new guy is kind of like a trip, and I'd never even seen chanting really. So, there's a whole story. You want to hear the story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Why not? It's embarrassing.
So I get to the temple. It's 4:10 in the morning. Already it's 4:10 in the morning. That says a lot, right? And what the heck am I doing up at 4:10?
How you get up to that time?
Exactly. Usually you go to bed at 4:10. I was getting up at 4. So anyway, I get there. I knock on the door, and nobody answers. And it's just a house in the middle of like this slum area. This is our Philadelphia temple in 1975. I knock on the door, nobody answers. And that's when the moment of truth. Okay, you're going to knock again, or you're going to run back to your car? Because what are you doing? These people are weird. So I knock on the door again. And this time the guy opens the door, and he's wearing a little dress and nothing else. It's a gumsha, but when you first see
towel.
it, it's like, it wasn't even a towel. Towel I could have dealt with. This was this flowery kind of just, it looked like a skirt. Like, God, the guy's wearing skirts. This is weird. Anyway, he says, hey, you're a little early, man. Come on in. I'm like, yeah, fine, let's do this. So I sit down. He goes away, comes back. He brings me this little white cup with a brown ball in it. Wow. And he says, here, take this. Don't touch inside. Just pour the ball into your mouth.
Whoa.
And, this is, again,
were you scared there was LSD inside or some other stuff?
Who knows what it is? It looks like a brown golf ball. What I mean, So I go, all right, let's do this. And I pour the ball into my mouth.
And the explosion came.
It explodes. It's a gulab jamun. And I'm like, whoa, what is this stuff? This is amazing. So, of course, now it's 4:15. I'm getting a gulab jamun high, and I'm just buzzing away, sitting there going, whoa, what's next? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Oh, this is so much fun. I really like this place. Sugar running through my veins. So he just says, okay, just sit for another 15 minutes. I'll be back down. Everybody else will be back down. And we'll go into the temple room and you'll get to see God.
Whoa.
Like, who says that? You're
Who
going to
says
go
that?
see God, right? So you remember I was asking this question, who is he?
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go see him. Like, this is
Wow, this is amazing.
bizarre. I mean, and you know, from the West, Krishna blew with a flute. That's God.
No
and you're
way.
like, you know, come on,
give me
really?
a break.
Yeah, come on, really? All right. So I surrender. He's blew with a flute. All right,
That's
let's do
okay.
this. So I go into the temple room when he comes back down, and it's pitch black, no lights, and everyone's just walking around mumbling to themselves, you know. And I haven't done japa yet, so I had no clue what the heck they're
is this guy
doing. And I'm just standing there going, whoa, this is getting weirder, right? You know. Then all of a sudden, I hear this sound. Have I told this story to you before?
No,
You're like
no,
knowing
no.
what I'm going to say before I say it.
Of course, but if it's natural. You know.
Okay. So, all right, yeah. So everybody's been Malarkey knows. So you hear the conch, then all of a sudden everyone dives on the ground. And I'm standing there like, what is this, like
What's
a fire
going
raid or
on?
something? Like, what the heck happened just here? Why is everybody on the ground? And then the curtains open. And I'm standing there looking, and this is supposed to be God, right? Yes. Philadelphia Temple, 1975. They have giant Jivanath deities.
Wow.
And I'm looking, going, okay, this is really weird. Really
Somebody with the
strange.
big eyes.
Yeah, the big
Black.
eyes are staring at me, and I'm staring back thinking, this is God? Like, you know, I was ready to accept the blue guy with the flute, but come on, really? This is God? But I got into it. But here's another thing. Prabhupada set me up so much. Okay, my best friend introduces me. First time I go to the temple, the Radha Damodar bus is there.
Wow.
Vishnu Janand Swami is leading Mangalartik with about
Sweet.
15 brahmacharis that, you know, just couldn't control themselves. So
Dancing.
before he even finishes some Saradava, everyone's jumping up and down. So this kirtan is just like off the charts. And I'm like, I love this. This is me. This is what I want to do. This is just fantastic.
Even if God is weird with a big
Even if he
eyes,
is
black,
weird,
whatever
I'm
it
okay
is.
with it. This chanting thing is so cool. I'm into it. I'm doing it. And the Philadelphia Temple was interesting because they had wooden slat boards, right? Mm-hmm. So when you jumped up and down, the boards moved, right? So you're standing or hoping to just stand there.
Can't.
You can't.
You just
The
start
boards are
jumping.
bouncing you up and down.
Yeah.
So I'm a basketball player. So I'm looking at all these brahmacharis jumping. I'm thinking, I can out-jump these guys.
Sure.
So I start jumping as high as I can, and I'm having the time of my life. Jump and jump and jump and jump. And this is like fantastic. This is spiritual life. I'm like, this is it. I'm doing this. This I can do, right? You get the singing, which I wanted to be a rock star. You get the jumping up and down, playing basketball. So this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I moved in.
You know, it's amazing sometimes I realize that, you know, nothing happened by chance. And Krishna is setting you up. He set me up. He set everybody up when we are ready to actually get into this.
Yeah.
You know, and just by magic you think, bang, okay, this is it.
Yeah. It's amazing how he does this, right? It's amazing.
I mean, Krishna is in the heart of everybody and he knows everything. You can't hide. So he knows when you're baked at the proper time and then he introduces you to the ultimate frying.
But I needed just what I got, and that's what he gave me. Anybody else, any other time, I mean, I wouldn't have gone to the temple. There's no way. But, and then showing up and Vishnu Janand Swami's leading kirtan. It's like, wow. It was just
What
the
an
best thing.
experience. What
Yeah, it
an
was wonderful.
So from the day, you start to go Mangalarti every day, or you just join from the first day?
No, yeah,
come on.
I committed in my mind. It took me like 3 days to
Okay.
get rid of stuff and bring stuff to the temple and all that stuff. And that's another good story because I got there and, I'm sort of an energetic young man, right?
Yes.
And
How old you were at the time?
I was 22.
Good.
So I was kind of like fit and fired up and all that stuff. So the devotees liked me. So I got into the temple. I'm carrying a suitcase. I put my suitcase down. They sit me in a chair, and the guys are talking to me. They're really, hey, Joe, it's so nice you came, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, somebody starts buzzing the hair off my head.
Just
I got
like that.
shaved up.
Just like that.
Just
Without
like
even
that.
asking you, just say, okay,
Didn't
boom,
even
this guy's
ask me.
ready, that's it.
They wanted me in that temple bad. I was like, okay, I'm, but it was kind of freaky, watching the hair fall down off, my head. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, the long hair, I guess.
So I guess I'm doing this, there's like no running out the door now.
How your reaction of your father, mother? How was it? How did they take it?
That was
Did you
kind of...
explain to them, or you just run away? What was?
I think they were just happy that I wasn't doing drugs.
Okay.
And, and they could see I was committed. I really enjoyed it. And they always wanted me to be more spiritual. So, I don't know. And I went through the whole hippie thing, high school and college. So, it would, experimented with drugs and girlfriends and the whole thing. So they were really happy I was making a sort of a commitment. And they knew I wasn't going to be anything because I didn't want to be anything other than a basketball player or a rock star. I didn't want to be a lawyer or a doctor or a builder or a plumber. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I just wanted to have fun. And Krishna consciousness.
And finally, I think they saw you were better off without drugs, without girlfriend, without all the stuff and the hippie things.
Yeah.
So at least you are not drinking, not smoking, not. You were already vegetarian maybe at that time? No, not yet. So, it was a step up.
Yeah.
It was a step up in your life, and your father, mother maybe saw you. Okay, this guy maybe choosing the proper route, and he's happy. And he's into it.
Well, they could see. I mean, just like you kind of see me now at 70, I'm kind of enthusiastic about Krishna consciousness. And I've always sort of grasped with both hands when I want to do something. So they could see my enthusiasm wasn't going to be deterred by anything they said or did. So either you get into it with me or see ya. And that's all I could do.
That was nice.
Yeah.
And tell us a bit what service you did from the first day you joined and you went to Harinam, what experiences, how Krishna guide you through this amazing journey.
So I moved in on a Friday.
Whoa.
Friday afternoon, the devotee says to me, we're going out on book distribution tomorrow. Do you want to come?
Sure.
But they called it Sankirtan, actually. He says, we're going out on Sankirtan. I've never heard that word before. So I said, sure, whatever, let's do this. I'm going. So on Saturday morning, I get in a van. I get handed my wig and my baseball cap. I get in a van with 7 other guys that I just met yesterday. And they give me a book bag and a bucket of candy. Again, the candy. The candy's part of our culture, right? You have to have the candy. And pull up in this neighborhood, and the Sankirtan leader says, okay, Bhakti Joe, you get out here. And I said, what, by myself? He says, yeah, no, it's no problem. You've got this whole bucket of candy. You just give them out. You distribute those books that you have in the bag, and we'll pick you up. This is at 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll pick you up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's a long time.
And that's a long time. This is my first day, right? I just moved in on the Friday, one night in the temple, and Saturday I'm out in a, Sankirtan. And I look around. They dropped me off in my old neighborhood.
Woo.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah,
For one, I'm like, I'm Bhakti Joe now. I'm not Joe anymore. I'm Bhakti Joe. And I get out of the van and I know like everybody walking up and down the street and stuff. It's like really cool. But everyone's like, hey, Joe, man, what are you doing, man? And of course, I've got that energy thing going on. I'm like, I got some candy for you. Here, have some candy, and here's a really cool book. This is like Easy Journey. And I'd never seen the book before. Easy Journey to Other Planets. And they go, what's it about? And I go, I don't know. I haven't read it yet. But read it and then you can tell me. And I'd give them the books. And I did really, really good. Because I was so enthusiastic and then, it's just like so much fun and they knew people and I was just having the time of my life. So I did really well. And that was it. They picked me up at 5. The next day, they read the scores out for yesterday.
You were the topmost.
Not yet. But I was pretty close. It got to like the 3rd top score and they said, Bhakti Joe. And everyone went, Jai. And I went, no, it's Joe.
It's not Jai.
It's not Joe. It's Joe. But I mean, the whole temple was, chanting. And of course, the temple president, Rabindra Swarup Prabhu, he loved me, because I was really good at this Sankirtan thing. So they looked after me kind of.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But book distribution. I never did Harinam. It's funny. Philadelphia, we didn't do Harinam in 1975. Book distribution was the thing. Incense selling, book distribution, but never Harinam. I don't think I went out once, maybe once in a couple of years there.
Wow.
But then I transferred to Chicago O'Hare Airport.
Whoa, Chicago,
Got to do the big
land
books.
of the mafia.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't mention any names.
Of course.
Yeah. So that was that. And that's how I sort of started my Krishna consciousness life.
But then you start also studying those books that you were studying?
No, I wish I would have studied more. I didn't study enough, to be honest. And we had, when I went at O'Hare, when we had our day off, I remember everybody used to plant a book in front of you and you get all comfortable and you're just about to read the Bhagavatam. You're so excited. And the next thing you know, you start the phrases, gone.
The battery goes off.
Sound asleep. And then you wake you up for the, Sunday feast. So I didn't get to read a whole lot. And plus, my thing was I burned so much energy doing book distribution. I was so tired at night, so tired in the morning. And I try to stay awake through class. So
It's very difficult.
it's very difficult. But I always said, you know what, I'm doing what Prabhupada wanted. He wanted us to distribute it. And, there will come a time where I will get to read.
Nice. But tell us how you met Prabhupada, because you are Prabhupada disciple, so in sometime, somewhere, someplace, and you met him, and what was your experience of seeing him? I haven't seen Prabhupada personally, so what was, people say it was effulgent, it was floating, it was amazing.
All those things.
All these things. So when we hear all the Srila Prabhupada disciple, what was your personal experience?
Yeah. Well, it just so happened. I was in New York City for the Rath Yatra in 1976. And I was about to be initiated at that Rath Yatra. And I was outside the temple room about 9 o'clock at night in New York. And a car pulled up and Prabhupada got out.
Wow.
Now, there wasn't like a whole horde of sannyasis around him. It was just Prabhupada and a servant who opened the door. And Prabhupada started to walk. And he was walking right towards me. I was on the path into the temple room. My first thought was he looks like he just descended from the spiritual world.
Whoa.
And then my second thought, he's really short.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm 6'2", and I'm looking at like, man, he's really short. Because for some reason, being an American, like the important people are always like John Wayne and these big guys, And Prabhupada was the most powerful person on the planet. And he's like 5'4" or something. He's really short. So that was the second thought. And I remember I paid my obeisances and I was just getting up. I was on my knees and Prabhupada was almost at eye level. And he walked past me and he smiled at me. He looked me in the eyes. So, the whole looking in the eyes thing. And you can see Prabhupada looking right through you. And he still smiled, did the little, shake of the head thing. And I was just like, that made it. That was it. And it's funny because now I'm 70. And there's so many memories in my past that have just gone. But that is something I can see clear as anything as Prabhupada looking at me and smiling. I never forget that, ever. So that's, one blessing, even in this old age. And even if I probably lose every other memory, I hope that one stays with me.
But then tell us how you eventually, after a few days or a few months, you actually spoke to him, or you were introduced to him, or when you took an initiation, they called your name.
The initiation thing is the only thing I got. Because, 1976 this is now. Unless you're a sannyasi or a GBC or a temple president, you're not getting close to Prabhupada. I got lucky that night. But my initiation, I was sitting there about to be initiated. And I remember thinking, because I was, wanting to be those things, I wanted a cool nickname in life. I always wanted a cool nickname, and I didn't have one. My name was Joe. And I thought, what a stupid name, Joe. I wanted a cool name, something, like Rocky or, Tiger or something like that. And I never had that. So I thought, Prabhupada's going to give me this name. Finally, I'm getting this name that I always wanted. Yeah, far out cool name. So Prabhupada hands me my beads. He says, your name is Jivanath. And inside, I'm having a party. I'm like, yeah, woo, I got the name. I got my cool name. I'm really, really so happy. And then Prabhupada looked at me deep in my eyes and went, Das.
Jivanath.
Das. Like, don't forget, you're not the cool guy. You're just a servant of the cool guy. I said, oh, yeah, okay. Still happy with it, though. I still like Jivanath Das.
Jivanath is a nice, beautiful name. But apart from that, you had any other encounter with him where you spoke to him or he tell you something particular?
I've got one other, and this is
Yeah.
it. Unfortunately, this is
It's
it.
okay.
This is Guru Puja, and I think I can't remember if I just gotten initiated or I was about to be the next day or something, but it was a Guru Puja, and being either a newly initiate or still a bhakta, I was way in the back in the New York temple. And I was thinking, it's 1976 and I'm just a nobody. How am I going to get some association with Prabhupada? So I decided I'm going to get through the crowd, get right in front of Prabhupada, and observe everything about him. So I started pushing my way through the crowd. Now, basketball player, you know how to use your elbows to maneuver to get where you want to go. Yeah. So I started pushing through the crowd. And then I get to the GBCs and temple presidents. And okay, they're still just normal looking people. I'm kind of a little big. And I was pushing people out of the way. I'm in good shape, and how to use elbows. I'm getting real close now. Now I'm simply behind this sea of sannyasis. But determination is one of my strong suits. So I'm determined. I'm going to get to watch Prabhupada. So I started pushing some of the sannyasis aside. Now, this is like the roll of the dice. How important is it to see Prabhupada? Is it willing to risk your whole spiritual life pushing sannyasis out of the way?
Mission impossible.
Absolutely. No, it wasn't. I'm doing this. I don't care. I could care less. Seeing Prabhupada meant everything to me. So I started pushing them. And the sannyasis are looking who the heck is this guy? And they started slamming their dunda on my foot. And that hurts, that hurts. And then I was I don't care. Then I get to the really big guys, the old guard, so to speak, Brahmananda, Satsarup, I'd already got through Guru Kripa. But anyway.
That was tough.
Yeah, that hurt. So I finally get to those guys, and they started, because there was nobody in front of them, they were angling their dunda at my shins, hitting me in the shins with this dunda. And that really hurt. The shins hurt. The foot you can deal with a bit, but the shins really hurt. So finally I get right in front of Srila Prabhupada. So I'm standing there with Brahmananda and Satsarup and, all the big guys. I'm standing there. And Prabhupada's got his eyes closed. He's playing kartals. And he looks up. He opens his eyes and he looks up. Got all his sannyasis, his original devotees, all right there. And there I am, standing there. And he looks at me who are you? But I was just in a trance watching Prabhupada. And I just was couldn't get my eyes off him. And I wasn't doing anything but just standing there staring at him. And he looked me in the eyes again and he waved his hand like that, up and down, don't just stand there. If you're going to be here, you dance. So that was my instruction. I have two. One is always dancing kirtan, and the second one is don't forget, you're always the servant. You ain't the big guy, you're the servant. So that's my actual only interactions with Srila Prabhupada.
Nice. Now, there are two interactions we can have with Srila Prabhupada, of course, Vapu and Vani.
That's true.
So Vapu is the personal instruction you
And
receive.
I wouldn't train my Vapu for anything.
Of course. But tell us about the Vani aspect of it. When you read Srila Prabhupada books and how he talked to your heart and your mind and how you felt Prabhupada is so amazing, explaining this philosophy in a way that, everybody can understand. And once I guess after you did many years of service in Sankirtan, at one point you start to study these books.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when I sort of got the break in the action, so to speak. I stopped going out myself, and I was more like the Sankirtan leader. So my thing was to rev everybody up, be there when they come back, to make sure everything is okay, look after them, and purchase the books, we were doing paintings and candles and things. So I kind of get into that aspect. And then it gave me more time. Yes, it did. Unfortunately, I wish I'd always studied more, but I always understood the instructions of how important the different phases of our Krishna consciousness preaching, how important they are, like the Harinam Sankirtan. Like here in Mayapur, that's my service, that in book distribution. So I've sort of come full circle. But this Harinam here is like we see these guests, they come. And they understand they're going to go to see the TOVP. They're going to see our beautiful deities. They're going to take some prasadam. And then what?
We are the white elephant.
Yeah,
I
am the
dark.
white. Yeah, you're the darker elephant, but I'm the white elephant. But
Yes.
I understand that for them to see, and I've gathered a really nice group of Harinam devotees. They're very enthusiastic. They're very talented. And when we do kirtan and we engage these guests, they go away with a memory that they weren't planning on getting.
Absolutely.
And it makes a big impression upon them. And that's why, for me, it's really enjoyable to do this chanting here. And Prabhupada said about that to Jayapataka Swami. He said, if you do this correctly, if you do this Mayapur correctly, you will never have to go anywhere. They will come to you.
Yes.
And so I actually just, roll out of bed, put on my dhoti, and I go to the temple. And, just by being in this body, I'm preaching. And I say hi to people. I try to be as friendly as possible. And I know that that's simply preaching. I don't have to quote so many verses. I just have to be this dancing white elephant. And I engage people. I smile. I hand them the mic, and I get them to sing with me, and I put my arm around them, and and they enjoy that, and I can see that. When the kirtan's over, I can see the look is like, oh, you're done already. But so I understand that this preaching and this wonderful opportunity, and this opportunity is here for every Prabhupada disciple and every senior devotee. Come to Mayapur. Mayapur is just the best place for preaching.
Yeah, actually, this Harinam is very enlivening. And also, this is the prediction of Lord Chaitanya and all the Acharya that, although Mayapur is wonderful by itself, but this is like the cherry on top of the cake, which melts people's heart when they see the foreign devotee, Russian, European, American, chanting and dancing, whatever. And they are so fiberglass. They think, what? I want to go to America and make money. Can you get me a visa?
And we're doing it in reverse.
Don't go anywhere. Stay here, chant Hare Krishna, and be happy.
We give up the money and come to Mayapur to be like them.
Actually, there's a revolution going on inside the people's head because they all think going to the West, make money, give money to the family, this, that. But then, we are like, what? We're coming from there, and everything is not working there.
It's a dead-end street. Sorry.
Yeah, man. You're already here. Just take the chanting. And many people, when I go to Calcutta, I met them and say, hey, I saw your people singing and dancing. It's so beautiful. I participated with them for a few minutes with my family. My kids were dancing. We're really happy. So it makes a difference.
It does. And I think here in Bengal, it's so in their blood. So it's not like, if you're in the West, if you tell everybody, put your hands up, they'll all look at you like, buddy, what are you talking about? But here, when we tell them to put their hands up, they all put their hands up. Tell them to chant, Hare Krishna, they're all, Hare Krishna, And that's what makes it so much fun, is that reciprocation.
Srila Prabhupada said that you scratch a little bit in the heart of these Indian people, because they are pious. They took birth in India, so they have some devotion there. And then we can definitely tap into that.
Yeah, it always makes me feel really humiliated almost that they want to touch my feet, and I'm thinking I should be touching your feet. I'm just too lazy to get down. But you're the people. You're born in India. We're born in different countries where we don't glorify God. We try to get rid of Him, and you guys are brought up understanding Bhagavad Gita, understanding that you're a servant. You're not the be-all, end-all. But in, the Western countries, from birth, that's what you get, You can be anything you want to be. I want to be God. Well, go for it.
As long as you work hard,
work hard. You can do it. Not a problem.
You've been doing this for more than 40 years.
Uh-huh.
What would you have done differently over the last 40 years to make yourself a better devotee, increase your Krishna consciousness, and what sort of those things could neophytes, people who have just come to the Hare Krishna movement, do to last longer, stick around longer, be more secure being a devotee?
Yeah, good question, because I did leave the movement, and I just left and tried to be a devotee on the outside. I tried hanging out with other devotees who were trying to be devotees on the outside. And of course, that doesn't last. It's so very difficult. So the first thing I would tell anybody is don't leave. Whatever the problem is, don't leave. Stay in the association of devotees. It's so very important. I left in probably 86. So I was devotee for like 11 years. And I was gradually just turning into a Sunday feast guy. And, and that's just like a nowhere thing, And back in the 80s, it was not so easy to be a Prabhupada disciple and not part of the mainstream talent of the temple or something. So I was kind of on the outs. And I felt that, and I was very uncomfortable. And I started to not come to the temple so much and just try. And gradually my sadhana just went down, 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 down. But the funny thing is when somebody decides to, probably just my material desires came up, but I'm not going to admit to that, but I guess I just did. But it was, those things happen, and I was trying to enjoy again, and I was so frustrated again. I remembered I was frustrated before, now I'm frustrated again. And I always thought, no matter what, I love Prabhupada, but for some reason I just couldn't stay the course. And then that really was bothering me to the point where it got to about, a little over 10 years ago. I was chanting my rounds, which was nice. I started chanting again, really, getting up super early before work and chanting japa. And, I was really pleased with that going on. And then I just said, you know what? This is ridiculous. I miss the devotees. And I came back. And I knew I'd have to eat humble pie, which is a big thing for when us older devotees leave and try to come back. You have to say, you know what? I got to be humble. Whatever they ask me to do, I'm doing. And whatever somebody says to me, I'm just going to say, okay. And it's not easy. And, and plus I was like, I felt I was somebody. Back before I left, I was a Sankirtan leader, and I led kirtans and all that. So I'm thinking people are going to know who I am, and I'm not going to, here he is, he's back, oh God, put him in the back of the room, nobody talked to him. So that's actually was my philosophy. That I was scared of that. I was thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to do this? Can I do this? And I actually went into the Toronto temple for a Sunday feast, my first time back in a temple in a long time. And I went in, and all the men and women were all standing together. And that kind of confused me because I hadn't seen that before. I'm in the temple and there's women all around me and guys, and it was just like a whole free-for-all. And I walked out. And I walked out like about 10 paces out of the temple, and I thought, no, go back. Whatever they're doing now, go back. And so I went back in and I put myself through it, and I decided I was going to go back and move in the temple. And I was quite lucky because in Toronto, I connected with Bhakti Marg Swami. And he was, and he's so sweet. He is so genuine and personable. And he was taking me everywhere with him and programs and all that. And, and he just made me feel really comfortable to be back. Nice. And so that was really sweet. And I attended one of his initiations. And that was a big one for me because I was, I don't know about this thing, and I was listening to what he said, and he was simply talking about connecting with Srila Prabhupada. So I was very comfortable with that. So I thought, okay, I can do this. And then I moved back in the temple. So I was really happy. So the big thing is, like you were asking, that's such a good question, is don't leave. There's a reason why you came in the first place, because you understood there is nothing out there. There is nothing better than Krishna consciousness. And this international society that Srila Prabhupada has started and is being maintained by Srila Prabhupada is the best thing in the world. It is our only real hope. And any kind of little service you can do and any kind of little association you can get is better than anything that's out in the material world. So the big thing is don't leave.
Being a full-time devotee in the temple or active in the temple is a cornucopia of events and festivals and feasts and programs. Over the years, what are some of the highlights for you, if you can remember? What are some of the highlights of being in ISKCON for you? Besides the great moment of meeting and seeing Srila Prabhupada, what are some of the things that you've enjoyed the most being a devotee?
Okay, that's a good one too, because my memory is not so great. So But I was in Australia and in Sydney when it was really, really enthusiastic there. And I just had so much fun. I was actually only in the temple there for 3 years, but the memories are so very clear. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. We were just a bunch, all young guys, and the energy level, the kirtans were like back in the 70s. Every kirtan was like a crazy bouncing off the walls, just so much fun. And everyone was joking around, and we went swimming at the beach together, and it was just a real camaraderie. And the women had their own thing going on too. And I had the blessing of being the Sankirtan leader there. So I was encouraging both the women and the men to do it. And we did so well. But it was that camaraderie, because that's the one thing I remember when I first joined, because I played sports all through high school and a little bit in university. So that whole camaraderie, that teamwork thing, we were Prabhupada's team. And I felt that, all the guys, we were all bhaktas together. And it's like, and that's kind of like, war people. They bond. No matter where they go after the war's over, there's that connection. And I felt that connection with all the different devotees that I've ever had association with. It's like here in Mayapur, we're so lucky. So many people visit. So, I'm connecting with people I never met, but somehow or other we have this connection. Like just the other day, I was hanging out with Chandramali Swami. I've never met him before. And then we're like best friends, because we have this connection. He was telling me New Vrindavan stories. I was telling him Chicago O'Hara stories. And so there's these like war pastime stories. It just makes you feel, your buds, your old friends, We're going to be doing this again somewhere, right? Yeah, we are, That's a beautiful thing. So Chicago O'Hara Airport, I have so many fond memories of there. Most of them are really great stories. My Sankirtan. Want to hear a Sankirtan story?
Sure, why not?
All right, let me tell this one, because this is one of my favorites. I just joined, and I got the privilege of doing, airport big books, because I was kind of good at the Sankirtan. So I got out there, and I hadn't really read a whole lot yet, as you were alluding to. I'm sorry, wasn't a great reader, but I did manage to distribute books, and I think that's why Prabhupada's let me still be here, because I did distribute his books. So I was out at the airport, and generally when we did airport Sankirtan, we would approach the people as they came off their airline. If they came off and they were coming into the airport, they're kind of dazed and confused. So you can stop them, because they're kind of like looking where's my terminal? Where do I go now? So you could stop them and just take their mind off where they're going for that split second and get them to listen about what you're talking about. But this day was so slow, I started hitting on people heading to their airline. Now that's harder, because hey, it's like 10:45. I get a plane. It's and everything's like buzz, 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 buzz. So I approached this one guy. He was coming towards me, and I believe I actually just didn't even reach out my hand. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think I had to reach out my hand to shake his hand, and somehow or other he knocked the books out of my arm. I had a Gita under my arm. He knocked the books out. I think he hit me with his attaché case. And that happened a lot, by the way. We were, always under pressure. You never made eye contact and held it. You made it, looked around, because people would come and swing their briefcases at you and, push you and say things. It was really fun. You better be on, sharp as a tack out there. So this guy knocked the books out of my hand. He took a couple more steps, and then he fell to the ground. He fell to the ground, and he started clutching his chest. He's lying on the ground, clutching his chest. He looks up in the air, and he screams, this blood-curdling scream, as if somebody really nasty-looking was coming to get him. And then he died.
Jeez.
Yeah. I won't do the scream. If I was in a class, I would do the scream. But it was like, ah! And he died. And it was funny, because I had just started reading about the Yamadutas. And I was like, wow, Krishna just showed me they're for real. If I was 90% sure of Krishna consciousness, that just made it 100%. Because that guy died right there, and he looked, and you could see he was looking at somebody. And boom, and he left his body. Now, this is the fun part. Because, I mean, okay, and I wasn't freaked out. I understood what it was. And everyone came running over to him. And I distributed like 5 Gitas because I was explaining to people. I said, if you don't understand what's about to happen next, you're going to end up like him with no hope. Take one of these books. And people would go, give me the book. Give me the book. So I did like 5 Gitas while all these people were standing around this dead body.
So what you're saying is death is a sales opportunity.
You got to take everything as a sales opportunity, don't you? I mean, come on, we're Hare Krishnas,
Well, here in Mayapur, you have a family.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
3.
They're here in Mayapur with you?
No.
No, okay. So I have another question about this. One of your top priorities in life are these children and your family. Mm-hmm. If I was coming to Krishna consciousness, I'm a single man, but let's say I'm not a single man. I have a wife. I'm 25 years old. I've quit my job. My wife would like to be a full-time devotee. Mm-hmm. My children are young. What advice are you going to give to this person that might actually be under your charge a little bit, and it's up to you to bring them along as a new devotee with a family, as a full-time devotee? How do you cultivate them? What do you tell them? What do you do with them?
Okay, that here in Mayapur, that is a different question and answer than a lot of other places, right? Well, my children are not really what you would call children so much anymore. They're 39, 40, and 42. So they all have their own lives. But when they were younger, I just tried to do the best I could to keep them online. But like I said, I left for a while. So although they all started out in Krishna consciousness, as they got a little bit older, I was a lot slacker. And, they started to enjoy the party life and things like that as they became teenagers and older. So I'm probably not the best person to give family advice. But here in Mayapur, when new couples come and they're asking me questions about how to do it. The biggest thing for living in Mayapur, and this is just my observation, is money. If you don't have money, you struggle and you end up having to leave. It doesn't matter how much you love Mayapur, how much, you have a great service, you're happy as heck with all the different devotees that are here. If you can't afford to be here, because, we don't have places you can just go and get a job. Like in the West, you can get a job and you can just maintain yourself. But here, unless you're doing something online or, your online business is still able to survive with what's going on in the world, which is a big one, because I have so many different devotees in my care that are from Russia and Ukraine, and they're having a hard time. So it's really hard, but that's my biggest thing. I said, find a way to make money. If you can make money, and then you can live in Mayapur. Or if you're like, us, you're older and you've already made your money, then you can stay. But for young couples, that seems to be the biggest burden, is the money part.
My experience has been that a single person is going to require approximately $200 a month to cover rent, electricity, travel, prasadam, boga, help, mate, local hospital.
Yeah.
They're going to require
minimum
10,000-15,000 rupees a month minimum as a single person. And you can multiply that by a factor of 2 to 3 for a family.
Absolutely.
So yes, you're very correct. In order to come to Mayapur and live in Mayapur, if you're non-Indian, you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah. Well, here, like the people in my care, like I'm the Harinam director or whatever you want to call me, I don't know, leader. I have so many different devotees that love doing Harinam. And Harinam, obviously, in Mayapur itself is not paying any rupees. But what I managed to do is to get us to do programs outside of Mayapur. And people usually give a donation, so then I will split the donation up with the devotees. So this is my way of helping them. I, try to use my, connections and my Harinam known. People are starting to know who I am and who our group is, and getting them, to be involved in doing outside programs. But other than that, it's very difficult. Yeah, and it's sad. It's sad. We wish we had like a bigger like community city, a city community or something, where there were so many different businesses that could hire people and keep them engaged here in Mayapur. But that seems to me the biggest problem is the money.
Actually, even the Indian devotee, they are trouble. And,
Yeah.
They live a really strange shoe and
Yeah.
go and sell some agarbatti outside or have some dinky shop selling
Yeah.
the same stuff everybody else sells.
Yeah, it blows
I
my
mean,
mind.
I feel sorry to see sometime devotee for 40 years. We were together doing Harinam, we were brahmachari, and then certainly they become grihas and they live in a shed which is made of this corrugated metal. It's become a baking oven in the summertime.
Yeah.
And they have one fan, one light
Yeah.
with their family and kids. So I think we have to do something about this in the
Yeah.
future because as the city grows, there should be more opportunity where to direct people to, make both and meet. And we're not talking about millions of dollars. We're
Yeah.
talking about just surviving, like you say, $200-$300, $400 a month, which is 30,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees a month. It shouldn't be very difficult for people to make,
That's
but
right.
unfortunately, Mayapur and the system we have is not being, very organized, we should
Yeah.
say. We also have a large community of brahmachari. We have more than 500 brahmachari, and they go out in Sankirtan and they're doing many services. So we have to kind of create opportunity for both foreign devotee and Indian devotee to make a living,
Yeah.
or can be
Agreed.
subsidized or can be helped, or we can figure out something. But I'm sure in one point of time we have to really think about that.
Yeah, it has to be a priority, especially with this TOVP coming. I mean, and now so many devotees want to move to Mayapur,
Yes.
but they come for a few months and go, "Hey, can't afford it, got to go
Yeah.
back." And unfortunately, the best association is here in Mayapur. I mean, it's the best
Absolutely.
place.
I think there will be a lot of opportunity if there is a vision from the top, from the leadership, to accommodate everybody, be all encompassing, like welcome everybody, not discriminate. Okay, this guy is foreigner, he has money from the West, or this guy is Indian, we can give him, 20 rupees and he can live. But kind of everybody can figure it out by his own way. But
I have one final question. You've been observing ISKCON for over 40 years. How is Mayapur doing as far as the feeling you have towards Prabhupada's instructions on how to conduct devotional life, community life, corporate life, the institutional life? How are we doing here in Mayapur? Because you're closely involved. You live here. You're one of the principals here in Mayapur that everyone knows. What is your opinion of that?
Okay. I actually see things like festivals. I'm shocked how well we put on festivals here. I'm shocked because they're so large, so many people, but yet I have never seen any kind of dramas or, something going on. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's all done behind the scenes. All of a sudden there's like, the Gaur Pranim, done. Like, no problem. Everything worked well. There's so much going on. And here in Mayapur, almost every day there's another festival. And, even if there isn't, we make up one. Like in another couple of weeks or month, we have Gita Mela. What the heck is Gita Mela? We're just celebrating Gita and having like a party for Christmas and New Year's Eve and in between. But, Mayapur really gets it together as far as the festivals. And the one thing I see lacking as far as guests coming is, like I said, with the Harinam, they expect prasadam, they expect to see the deities, and then they basically have nothing else to do. And I've been wanting to have some sort of cultural program going on during the day. Now in Mayapur, we have 4 Harinam parties that go out separately throughout the day, which is really nice. Jai Pataka actually said 5. He wants 5, so we're up to 4. So we're doing good. We're almost there. And each party has different devotees going out and doing it in different places in the campus. And so I'm really happy about that. It's increasing. And, that's something that the guests, they're not expecting. They expect, like I said, deities, prasadam, and then what? What are they looking forward to on campus? There's really nothing going on. So we need to raise our cultural awareness. We should be showing them more about what Krishna consciousness is. So that's one thing that I would like to see us step up in. But as far as like the festivals, and when you come to Mayapur for a festival, it is so well put together. Mind-blowing, isn't it though? Mind-blowing. It's just incredible.
We have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
We started very small and we grew up and we know all the nook and corner how to do it perfectly.
But it's so well-oiled machine, you know, and it's everyone who's doing it. You don't even know who's doing what, but it's somehow or other it all gets done nicely. So that's one thing I'm very impressed with that. Very impressed. You know, and what else? What else could we do differently in Mayapur? I don't know.
One of my ideas is that we could do question answer. We have the Samadhi Auditorium, which is below the Srila Prabhupada Samadhi, which is a nice space.
Not used very much.
Not used very much, but my point is that before we used to have. Now we have question answer for Bengali, and near the Govinda restaurant. But we could use that place and say invite people to do a big kirtan, and then we can say, okay, we open question answer to anybody, ask anything.
Yeah.
And that will also attract a lot of people, especially if you put 3-4, couple of Mataji, couple of Prabhuji, foreigner, and people ask questions, you know, because we do the same thing in Kolkata Ratha Yatra. We have one special hall, air conditioned, and I go and sit there for hours answering questions to people. What about Kali? What about Durga? What about this puja, that puja, this thing, how you do? So that could be, you know, there are many options to be explored. I'm just telling you that. You know, we can
that's a good one. That's a good one.
We can definitely, you know, tap into that. And if you approach it from Japataka Maharaj, say, yeah, we can use this place or something, you know, you tell him. Then, you know, because of course their question is always who is going to pay the bill for the electricity, the fan, is that, you know, which is not much. But anyway.
Wouldn't be.
Preaching is the essence.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question I have. And so you were brahmachari for how many years?
A real brahmachari?
Yeah.
Maybe the day I moved in.
Come on. For many years you were brahmachari. At one point you decided you wanted to be a grihastha. So what changes or what happened at the time?
Really? So I have to, end it with this question?
No, it's not the end. It's just the beginning. Come on.
Brahmachari. Well, I mean, to be really, really honest, I don't think I was a real brahmachari for very long.
Okay.
I did wear saffron for a number of years.
Okay.
I always knew that I wasn't. Well, actually, that's not true. I somehow or other, I ended up in San Francisco. And there in San Francisco, there was a GBC who was wanting to start a temple in the Philippines, Hamza Duda.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. And I somehow or other, I ended up going to the Philippines and starting a temple there. Nice. I was a brahmachari. And I made a lot of devotees. It was really nice because, I mean, at that time, there weren't too many devotees in the Philippines. There was another group that was there, but where I went was a different island. And so, you know, doing Harinam in the Philippines was fun. Because, you know, I'm 6'2", white. And, you know, everybody else was 5'1" and
they were small.
Not white. So wherever I went, I drew a crowd. And it was really fun. I had a lot of fun. I made about 15 devotees in 3 months. Nice. Some of them are still devotees, too. It's just amazing. And so that was a big deal. That was fun. What was the question?
Are you getting from one ashram to the other?
Oh, right. So I was a brahmachari. And, of course, I totally forgot. Just see, 70-year-old. You got to be careful when you ask questions that are too long. That's okay. Just gone. Maybe I'm blocking the whole brahmachari thing, or about the story I'm about to tell you.
Tell.
So I'm a brahmachari. I'm in the Philippines, and of course, you know, I made 15 devotees, and so I'm thinking I'm going to be a sannyasi now. Next thing, sannyasi, then I'll be a GBC, you know, and next thing, yeah, just the natural progression. You know, I'm so wonderful, and I got all these mosquito bites on my ankles. Right? And then so they swelled up, really, my ankles, and it was so painful for me to walk. So I was carrying this big stick, hence the, you know, sannyasi thing. And I'm thinking, I should be a sannyasi, you know, I'm carrying this stick, walking around, you know, I'm in charge of the Philippines. I should be a GBC. Got these mosquito bites, my feet swell up. Next thing you know, I'm in Hong Kong, in a hospital, and I lost being the temple president, and I wasn't going to be a GBC, and I wasn't going to be a sannyasi, and I got married.
Be careful what you deserve. Everything is going to happen.
Boom, 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 just like that.
One after another.
Yeah. It knocked me right out of the whole GBZ, sannyasi, aren't I wonderful thing. And ended up getting married.
Fantastic. Now tell us what's the future of, how you see the future, both personally and in ISKCON. Because how we, like he asked you, okay, well, how we're doing Mayapur, we're doing great. But what's the future of ISKCON? We are all getting old. Who is going to replace us?
I was going to say speak for yourself, but there is no camera here, right? You can't see how old I am.
Well, I'm 65 and you're
I'll be 70 in a couple of weeks.
So no problem. There.
As far as Mayapur, it's absolutely turning into a melting pot big time. So many Western devotees are coming here because there is an incredible mood that I don't think everybody can get anywhere else. And Mayapur is so special. And not to take anything away from Vrindavan, obviously, but Mayapur is it's personable.
It's very sweet.
It's a very sweet place.
Audarya Dham, Audarya. Audarya is the most merciful.
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya says it's the most merciful place in the universe.
And I think that's why people from all around the world can come here and feel comfortable. Whereas in Vrindavan, you have to come to a certain level and then
be careful.
You got to be really careful. Mayapur is a little bit more forgiving.
Yes.
And the way I see it is, devotees, especially Western devotees, this is such an opportunity to preach. If you're not preaching where you are, then Mayapur is the place because it offers you the chance to be a preacher, whether you just walk down the street, you get to preach. But there are so many different fields of preaching opening up simply from being based in Mayapur. Like I said, the festivals, there's so many, just like your idea of a question and answer. I'm going to get a stage up for cultural programs to go on continuously throughout, because we have so many different devotees from different countries that are very talented. There could be, dramas, there could be dances, there could be so much different activities for preaching Krishna consciousness. And I think that's one of the only problems that we have is we're not looking after all these guests, and so many people are coming to Mayapur. Yesterday, Rasa Purnim. You couldn't even walk around the campus.
Can I walk outside also?
Yeah, just anywhere. There's just people everywhere. So, we need to start seeing that this is what is going to be happening even greater. When that TOVP opens, forget about it. It's going to be so crowded here. We need to start being a little bit more progressive in our preaching practices. Absolutely. Like Jai Pataka Swami said to me, we should have Harinams going around campus all the time. So they're constantly hearing the holy names, seeing the Western devotees. And,
I was thinking also another out of the box. I was thinking we should have an ashram, one place where we can enroll new. There's a lot of foreign coming here and maybe people want to join, but we cannot put them together in a brahmachari ashram with Bengali. They don't speak the language.
Right.
So I was thinking we can have a separate place. We have a few hundred acres land here and that. We can make a village where people can come and do yoga, meditation, and we can induce them to become Krishna conscious.
Okay, you go to the next meeting and you put that forward.
I don't.
Come on, that's a great idea. That's
you do
a great idea.
You do it. Because
You're
I
younger than me.
was
You
part
do
of
it.
the management for many years, and then
So what, are you retired?
I'm retired. Yeah.
I didn't
I'm with
know.
you.
Didn't
doing
Prabhupada
right
say
now.
there is no retirement in Krishna consciousness?
No, I'm traveling, preaching with His Holiness
I
Swami.
know.
And we are very, very lucky to have you with us today, Jivanath Prabhu. And what is your best book that you like to read of Srila Prabhupada?
The Gita, of course.
Gita, of course. Who is your close friend that is your mentor? You look after somebody with?
Who do I look up to?
Yeah.
Practically everybody.
Come on, there must be some close person.
I'm serious.
All right.
I consider myself very low in the totem pole.
So you become successful, you find out who is God, and now you're serving God, and God loves you, and you love God. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Ganga,
Hare
you're so
Krishna.
sweet. Thank you.
And hope to always see you in Harinam and join you sometime. I love the service you do, and I love the inspiration you give to all the devotees.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Thank you,
Hare
Ganga.
Krishna.
You're listening to Radio Mayapur with the best devotional, meditation, kirtan music, and inspirational podcast. This is Radio Mayapur.